For the next keynote on the topic Building a Skilled DFIR Community, join me in welcoming Darshan Arun Vadikar, Director, Technical Third Eye Techno Solutions Private Limited. Over to you.
Good afternoon to all. We are Third Eye Techno Solutions Private Limited, and we are established in 2014. We are focused in providing the digital forensic services, setting up the labs for the law enforcement agencies as well as private organizations since 2014, so we have a lot of experience in doing so. We are also into consulting of digital forensics, and we are now also in trainings. So as we have seen in earlier keynote, that it is really difficult not to have your footprint, your digital footprint online, right? It is really, really difficult, almost impossible nowadays. Well, if someone says that the person is not using social media, he might not have a digital footprint. That is not true, because maybe he has shared the number, the phone number, right, with his colleagues, with his friends, relatives, and some of them might be using the contact apps, the third-party apps that aggregate the contact lists for the convenience and share it with the public. So that is also digital footprint that is shared in the in the internet, right, on the web. So anyone who is interacting with any other person is visiting, maybe for shopping into the mall, they have digital footprints. They have some or other way given out their numbers. They are tracked, being tracked in CCTVs and all. So when we say that we have a digital footprint, that means it is a vulnerability that is there, that exists on the internet, that someone, a cyber criminal, might exploit. So we also see a lot of rise that is there in the cybercrime nowadays, right? It is very easy for them to find out the vulnerabilities. It is very easy to steal the data, utilize it to do the identity thefts, do the banking frauds, things that we see nowadays regularly. So here I have mentioned the data that is from the CERT-IN. The incident CERT-IN alone has worked on in 2019 was close to 4 lakh incidents that they have identified and worked on. Very next year in 2020, this figure was more than 11.5 lakhs. In 2021, this went up more than 14 lakh incidences that they have alone handled. I'm not speaking about other private organizations, what they have done for them, themselves. So this is just the CERT-IN that is there. Well, when we see that there are rise in the cyber crimes, the digital forensics comes and plays a lot of important role. Now why? Because when you need to identify the vulnerabilities, when you need to identify how this propagated through your network and how this happened, actually you need to have a digital forensics response team go on the spot or on the incident site or into the organization and find out how this happened. Now imagine if the digital forensic team itself does not have proper tools, or in most of the conditions that we have seen, even though the tools are present, the person who is there for the response does not have adequate knowledge how to go forward with acquiring those things from the servers, from the network that is there in the organization. Every organization has their own IT policies. Maybe the administrator is not available. There are n number of possibilities that can be there, right? So all things are very important when it comes to doing the digital forensics incident response. If the human resource that is there is not capable to identify things on the spot and act on it based on his knowledge, then this incident response of course fails. The challenges that we have seen so far in our 8 years is most of the times the SOPs are not there in the organization that are specifically related to digital forensics. The SOPs are there in place for the cyber security, but for digital forensics incident response, there are certain number of certain SOPs that has to be there, which are separate from the cyber security. Then maintaining a proper chain of custody is also a problem. People do not know to maintain a proper chain of custody in different kind of incidences that have happened, so that it can be in the court of law later on if required. Also, efficiency in handling the volume of data, because once the incident happens, once you go on the response, then you come to know that, okay, this data is this much and how to handle it, which tool to use, to handle a larger data, which tool to handle the data which not be larger but very minuscule. So there are different tools to do everything. Also, choosing the correct tools is of very importance over here. We have seen the goof-ups that have happened in the digital incidences, wherein the person has gone there, they have gone with some certain tools, they came to know that the environment is not compatible to use those particular tools. In those scenarios, it becomes a problem. So what we have identified is there is a serious need of proper trainings that are there, that are focused in digital forensics. For this, we have come up with our own academy, which is focused in resolving the issues that are there in this incident response. The issues that are faced by organization nowadays is when they appoint freshers, they are not industry ready from day one. When you say that they are not industry ready from, have to spend maybe 2 months or 3 months to make them come up to the mark so that they are ready and they can go in the field and work for you. The second thing is about the freshers, the skills that are required by the freshers. They are surprised that whatever they have learned throughout their graduation or post-graduation is not, can be implemented as is when working on real cases. They need to know the nitty-gritties of those things. Also, there is a lot of unemployment in the graduates and postgraduates, the engineers that are there. So to address these things, we have partnered with few of the academias, that is, you can see over here, which is Institute of Forensic Science, Aurangabad, Institute of Forensic Science, Nagpur, then the Centurion University, Galgotias, and VGI. So what we are doing is we are going to these universities and making the students aware of digital forensics, the career that they can build up over here, particular specific fields in digital forensics that they can take forward. Maybe mobile forensics they want to specialize in, or they want to specialize in computer forensics, or they want to go into a very happening fields, drone forensics nowadays, right? So they need to choose their path properly at the level they are passing out from the universities itself. That is where the academia partners come into the picture. So the trainings that we have designed is based on fundamentals, because what we have seen is, again, as I mentioned, people may have learned the ex-commercial tool, and when they are presented with the other tool, they are not able to work on it because they do not know anything about it. They do not know the fundamentals properly, so they are unable to implement them. So the very first stage in all the trainings that is required is they should clear their fundamentals. They should be very clear with all the basics that are there in their field. The second is using open source tools, because not all of the organizations may be using the commercial tools, or if there are freelancers that are, if someone is planning to not be able to afford the commercial tools. In that case, the open source tools also come into the picture, and you should know how to use the open source tools as well. Again, the third part of our training is training them on all of the commercial tools, because if they are employed in an organization, the bigger organization which use proper commercial tools that are there in the market, they should be able to know which functions that are there in a particular commercial tool, which tool is best to use. Say suppose they are doing a basic function like RAM capture, they should be able to know whether it is better to use a GUI based tool, or whether it is better to use a command line based tools, and so on. These things are all covered in all of these things, and it is very necessary nowadays, because when they go in the field, they should be able to make the decisions then and there. Some of our programs that is mentioned over here is awareness program that we take through the academias. As I mentioned earlier, we make them aware what are the possibilities in the digital forensics, how they can choose their career forward, how they can be industry ready. The second level is fundamental programs that we have discussed. All the fundamentals regarding disk forensics, mobile forensics, that can be taken separately or as combined as a course. And then the advanced level program, especially built, that is our flagship program, which is SiteRoid, is for the people from the industry itself, or the people who have passed out with the forensic certifications and graduations, and they can deep dive into forensics and understand how to perform that. And finally, we also do the DFIR services that are there. We handle complete outsourcing from the corporates who do not want their own labs or not able to maintain their own labs, or we do a case-by-case consultations. Then we also do modernizing their existing labs, maintaining their existing labs, and yes, of course, setting up the labs from the scratch is something that we already do there in the market. So thank you very much for this. You can take down all our contact details and numbers. For any of your digital forensic needs, please feel free to contact us. We also have a booth over here that you can visit, and we will be happy to help you. Thank you, guys.